Can you believe it's the last astrology forecast of the year? Intuitive astrologer Stevie Calista is back to guide us through December week by week, helping us understand how each transit invites reflection, release, and renewed inspiration. From the full moon in Gemini to Mars in Capricorn fueling our 2026 ambitions, December is all about integration, tying together what we've learned and preparing for what's next. Think of it as your energetic end of year alignment check. Whether you're looking back, planning, or manifesting fresh beginnings, the cosmos is offering a beautiful mix of clarity, intuition, and structure to support you every step of the way. Let's finish the year with curiosity, compassion, and confidence in the magic that's unfolding. Hi, Stevie.
Hi.
I cannot believe that we're here. It's so weird because in some ways it feels like many years in one year. And then at the same time, it feels like 2 seconds.
It's true. We'll probably talk more about this in the 2026 forecast, but the beginning of the year started really slowly.
That is literally what I was thinking about as I was saying that. And we will talk about that. But yeah, that first part of the year was so slow. And then,
Hello, December.
hello, December. What do we need to know, Stevie?
December is pretty straightforward compared to October, November, and it offers quite a lot of perspective, I think, for us. In the first week of December, we start the month on the 4th with a 13-degree Gemini full moon. And this one really offers us perspective and maybe changing our mind about something or a different way of looking at it because it's the full moon in Gemini, right? So there's this opportunity for us to see something differently or look at it with curious eyes. That's the best part of Gemini is just constantly collecting data without necessarily saying things are right or wrong or black and white. And so Gemini looks at things with a very open mind. And we've all been in this Mercury retrograde cycle, right? And we're still in the shadow of that at the beginning of the month. So this is really where clarity comes. And I think that Mercury being in Scorpio, which is the ruler of this full moon, offers us a deeper perspective. And this feels like where you start realizing that the snake skin is coming off of you and you're looking at things differently. And maybe the old stories that you had aren't necessarily driving the bus anymore. And this full moon specifically comes off the new moon, which was planted on November 20th, and it was in Scorpio. So usually full moons are in exact opposition for their signs, but the last few of the year haven't been like that. So we planted seeds on November 20th with a 28-degree Scorpio new moon, and we were all being asked to shed something, to transform something, to go deeper, to feel things more intensely. And I think we've all been a little bit in this like sludgy energy because we're in water and earth right now. We were in fire and air in the summer. And the last part of this year gives us this moment to be like, wait a minute. My brother and I were joking this week and he was saying, feels like I'm in the mud. And I'm like, yeah, and you've lost your shoe.
Yeah. Oh my God. That is exactly how I know I've been feeling it. Oh my
And
goodness.
yeah, and then we would be like, oh shit, we lost our other
So
shoe.
that
And then
is
I would be like,
so,
wait a minute, you need new shoes.
yes.
You need new shoes. So leave the shoes in the muck and like you're preparing for new shoes. So this full moon, I think, gives us this moment of, okay, I'm seeing myself differently. I'm seeing the stories of how things are going. And it's opposite of Uranus, which means there's a little bit of an electric change moment here. So change your mind, see things more curiously. And so, yeah, that's how we start.
And so that's Thursday, December 4th. And then
Yeah.
that lunation really lasts several weeks. So you may
Right.
feel it a little more intensely right
Yes.
around that 4th, but that energy is with us.
Yes. It lasts until about the 20th of the month. So, yeah. And we're in Sag season now, right? So things are about big picture, not all the details, but like, why do you do what you do? What is your truth? Can you have different experiences that help you get more in that vision of like why you do what you do? And Sag also, we always talk about this, Robin, but it's like Sag likes to have fun. It likes to laugh. It likes to be silly. It likes to be dramatic. It likes to tell stories. So that's why also that Thanksgiving and the first weeks after always feel a little bit lighter because we just went through the intensity of Scorpio season and now we're like, ah,
Yeah, I would say even when you are looking at your calendar, it feels lighter.
for
I don't know
sure.
about you, but as I've been planning leading into the end of December, especially those first few weeks, I'm like, oh, that would be fun. I can do that. All those things. Whereas in these last few months, it hasn't felt that.
Yeah.
It's felt a little more intense. This feels, oh, that would be fun.
Yeah, totally. And it's interesting that we go from the intensity and depth of Scorpio season to the lightness and big picture of Sag, and then the solstice brings the seriousness of Capricorn. They're all so incredibly different, but they all build upon each other.
Yes.
So Scorpio asks us to let go and shed, and Mercury's still there. We're still doing it. Our mind is shedding this first couple of weeks of December. And then Sag says, okay, you did that. Now zoom out and see what the why is, what's the vision. And then once we get the why, which often this time brings like planning, and it's a good time to plan the next year and like what and your goals, right? And then Capricorn season comes on the solstice. It's really beautiful, honestly.
And I always need the reminder, the way it's set up, even though we talk about this every year, and I'm sure those who listen, we all need this reminder
Yeah.
of why it is set up that way.
And you got to remember too, like during Scorpio season, there's usually sprinkles of Libra and Sagittarius. So every season is blended together with the sun being in a certain sign, but then usually planets on both sides. So we get that like gradient in and out of the energy.
That's
So
right.
we are definitely in that Scorpio Sag energy in the beginning of December.
So it's like the lead up, you're releasing some of that intensity so that you can enjoy, but then start to look at things from that bigger picture.
Yep, definitely.
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay. That is that first week. Is there anything else we need to know?
There's just a couple minor aspects in the 6th and 7th. Mercury is making harmonious aspects to Jupiter and Saturn. So is the full moon. So there's like this flow of things working and our brains taking responsibility, our minds taking responsibility for what needs to get done in order for the change to happen and also in order for the expansion to happen. So there's things to do, but then there's like this expansion that also happens with this full moon. And if you let yourself see it that way,
That's important.
yeah, like how you see it.
What would be the opposite of that?
If you get very rigid with yes and no, or this is how it always used to be, or you really let the story, because it's like, you know how our brains are. Our brains are always trying to keep us safe. And so we'll constantly be like, what if this happens? And then, but that happened before, and, or this is the story. I'm never going to do X, Y, Z, or I can't do this. And we're in this season that we had with Mercury retrograde. There's like a knock on the door that's this opportunity for us to be like, whoa, are you sure? Are you sure you want to do it like that? Do you need to like let your shoes in the muck and get new shoes? And but we can push against that. That's our choice. And we could still be rigid because the opposite sign would be like judgment or rigidity. And Gemini offers us this moment of, whoa, there's another perspective here.
Thank you. I think
Yeah.
that's helpful for people to consider. Because if you start to fall into that, realize you can make a different choice and look at it differently. That's the opportunity.
Yeah. And they say perspective is everything.
It really is. And I think now that I have the analogy of the shoes in the sludge, I'm getting new shoes. Like it is time because it really has felt that way.
Yeah.
And this does feel like that opportunity presenting itself to get the new shoes, look at it differently, bring different energy to it.
Yeah. And then you'll be like, oh, I needed these.
We are going to be talking about that for sure.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So then we enter that second week.
Second week, 8th through the 14th. There's a few things this week that are going to be prominent. The first on the 9th, and I don't usually talk about minor aspects, but this is enough to that you're going to feel it. We have Mars squaring Saturn on the 9th. And so you'll feel this the days leading up and the days after, but that's the exact moment. And this one is going to offer you a little bit of a push to do something differently because Mars is take action. He's a trigger planet. And Saturn says, okay, but what responsibility? Do you need more discipline? Do you need more devotion? What do you need to get done? What's going on here? Not always done, but there's usually a hard something, like maybe it's a fear or something that's you're just like, oh, I know I need to work on this. Mars says intention and challenge is time. So that can mean you hit like a little bit of a brick wall for a second. Okay, what do I need to do here? Do I need to like take some more responsibility or become more devoted or in devotion? So that's on the 9th. Again, it's in Sag and Pisces, so it could be something in relation to the stories that you tell yourself, or maybe you're feeling a little bit foggy or confused, or even like you're a little delusional about something. We all have our own subconscious, unconscious, and sometimes that comes to light and we're like, wait a minute, this is too much. I need to take a different action. So that happens on the 9th. And then on the 10th, Neptune is stationing direct. So that week, the whole week is flavored with Neptune. So ground your butts off. When planets station, you guys probably are sick of me saying this, but just to remind you, their energy like beams down into our bodies. They just become the driver of that week. And so Neptune feels amazing in some ways. He feels this is where you can go into meditation and talk to your guides, right? And listen to music and just get taken somewhere. But also, he can feel very ungrounded and very confusing. And so, this is where we can start to really listen to the stories that maybe don't need to be driving the bus. So, ground, that's how you deal with Neptune is he's very up here. And so, you want to get into your body this week and do things that put you in that place.
What about with Neptune? I always think about it reminds me of dreams.
Yes.
And so is that a time where you could receive messages and so forth through your dreams?
Definitely make time for rest, make time to connect with the spiritual slider of yourself. But when you're trying to do the day-to-day things, if it feels too much, I always think of it like your head starts to become a balloon and you start floating away from your body. How can you get back into your body? But yeah, amazing time for your intuition, for creativity, those types of things. Yeah.
That's helpful to
Yeah.
remember.
And then on the 11th, Mercury moves into Sag. And so he's been here before, though. He was here in October and November. And so still in the shadow, still you're back where you were, but you're seeing things differently. Right now, you've shed something and now you're up above and your brain is seeing things differently. And honestly, this is where like we can be more optimistic, like just naturally. Sag is typically more optimistic, sometimes to a fault, right? But this is really where we can be in that vision. So this is an awesome from the 11th on is a really good time to plan your 2026 and think about the experiences that you want to have in the upcoming year. And the shadow of this would be people getting in fights or being more judgmental. Sag Mercury tends to say, I've had these experiences, so this is right and wrong. And so I judge you. And so that's just a asterisk. Watch out for that.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
also great time to tell stories and laugh and all those Sagittarian beautiful things too.
And just to remind people, because Mercury is communication. And that's what Stevie's saying is it's a good time because Mercury with Sagittarius will allow you to think in a more optimistic way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Get your vision boards out. Think about Mercury and Sagittarius as like the one that comes into the room and is just telling the story and everyone's just listening. They're captivated and they're laughing. That's Mercury and Sag. And the people that have that are like that. So yeah, that week, it's got a few different flavors
Yeah. And it's also helpful to understand that shadow.
for sure. So the next week is the 15th through the 22nd.
Yeah.
This is a really big week. This is the best week, I think. This is where most of the stuff happens. So Mars goes into Capricorn on the 15th, and we'll spend about 6 weeks in Capricorn. And this is where you get really serious about the action and the goals that you have for yourself. So you have 6 weeks to really dive in and get in that devoted, devotional, disciplined state. Because Mars in Capricorn is the one that's, I'm going to go to the gym every day because this is the goal that I have.
Okay.
Like, I'm going to cut the sugar. I'm going to, whatever it is. Mars is very serious about it. And remember, he's our masculine energy and how we take action and what we do. Like we move forward with Mars. In Capricorn, it's a great time to think about the experiences you want to have with the Sag energy. And then the Capricorn says, okay, how are we going to get there? What steps do we need to take? Because Capricorn is not afraid to take small steps to get to the top and it will just not stop. It's very disciplined and determined. So that is on offer for us. And I find that too, like that weave of like light, funny, and then serious action that we have is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like that.
And just a reminder, this is mid-month, December.
Yeah.
You have all this action energy to use.
Yeah. And it's cool because there's a balance between having fun, because if Sag had its way, it would just go travel the world and just go do things because it's adventurous and spontaneous and enjoyable. But then Mars is okay, yes, but let's get to work too. So
Yeah.
we get the combo. On the 20th, we have a new moon at 28 degrees of Sagittarius. And this one has these two flavors. Like, so we have Sun, Moon, Venus, and Mars all together in this one. Some of them are in Sag, some are in Capricorn. So we have our inner and our outer, and then we have our desires and our feminine energy, and we have our action and our masculine energy all on the same team. Be such interesting babies that were born. They're right around this time. So this again is the same things we've been talking about. It's going to ask you why, and then what do you need to do to make it happen. So this is such a good time to plant seeds around the vision that you have overall, not just for the year, right? This is the why you do what you do in general. And then what are the steps you're going to take to get there? So the planning and the doing are together here. So the whole lunar cycle, and this moves us into January, will offer us these two energies. It's really quite beautiful. The only thing about this is it is squaring Saturn and Neptune. So there is something that's out of alignment. There's something, there's a belief, there is an action you've been taking, there's an old subconscious story, there's an old dream or an old vision that's just not in alignment anymore. So what you've been telling yourself, and sometimes this isn't conscious, meaning like you don't realize how much of your brain is driving the bus that we don't realize consciously. So
100%. Yes.
I think this lunation will give us an opportunity to see that. Oh, there's an old story here, or there's something I've been doing, or this could be avoidance. There's a fear. Maybe it's a habit that you've been leaning on that's okay, you're doing that to avoid. Let's stop avoiding. This is going to offer us that.
And let it
Gotcha.
go and
And
take
then let's
steps.
go.
Yeah. Let that go.
Yeah. And remember with squares in astrology, that's a challenge. And without them, we don't necessarily, not always anyway, we don't take it seriously. We don't make change. Yeah, we need it.
We need it. That's part of this life's journey. I always say that we didn't come here just to coast. That's not the point. The point is to have those kinds of challenges,
Yeah,
overcome them, and keep going because that's what makes this like the best movie ever. It's
totally.
the movie of your life.
And that's the thing, it's your choice, right? If you choose to overcome or if you just continue on and then it comes back again.
Yeah.
So every time we have these squares, there's an opportunity to make real lasting change if you lean into it. Because otherwise, your soul's just going to keep attracting
Same thing.
that same challenge because
Exactly.
you signed up for it. So that's how that works. The cool part about Saturn and Neptune together, even this whole year, has been that it's not just about the work, it's about the story behind it. It's about the energy behind it. It's the dream behind it. It's
Mhm.
the subconscious, unconscious that's running that loop that's becoming clear so that we can do something differently.
So good.
Yeah. And then on the 21st is the solstice. I always talk about this is like my favorite day of the whole
I
year.
know. I smile thinking about that for
Yeah,
you
it's
and for all of us. But yes.
in my opinion, there's not a more sacred day. And this is why Christmas is celebrated in the Christian religion because they line this up with the sun, which is the return of the sun, right? The sun actually starts to stand still on the 21st, and then on the 24th, it starts to move up in the sky again, meaning there's more light. And so this 3 day standstill is so energetically sacred for us to really honor the light and the dark in us. And so you could do that many different ways. You could celebrate that many different ways. Christmas is really important in my house, but this is just as important to me to really honor this light returning. And so that can look like in our house, we love to light candles when the sun goes down and then leave it without light that night, just to really honor that sun's energy passing into the earth. You could make like crafts. We like to make those little witch balls. Have you ever made those?
No.
You just get a little glass ornament and you put little pieces of nature. You could put little chips of crystals, some essential oils, and you're basically just making a ball that you hang in the window to really, it's like a little witchy spell to honor the sun coming back and honoring like what it is, the intention that you're putting into it. So different plants mean different things, but I like to just do it intuitively. And so that's a fun way to work with it. You can make peanut butter pine cone ornaments, just stuff like that to really honor Yule.
And so on the solstice, that is the light returning.
The days start to get longer. We've gone through our dark period, and this is the birth of the sun almost.
It's the shortest
Yep.
day of the year.
Yep, it's the very last. Because if you look in the sky, you go outside, you realize the sun is low. And so this is the lowest point it's going to be. And then it'll start to rise again and start to get higher up, and the days will get longer. So it is the darkest day, but it's also the day we celebrate the light coming back.
I love that.
Yeah.
But I think it's a good reminder because I feel like people get confused between solstice and equinox and all that.
Yeah.
I cannot wait because I know I should be honoring the darkness a little bit more. But I will tell you, to me, it's like a race against time every day.
Yeah.
Because in Chicago, the sun goes down by 4:30
Yes.
ish. And that to me, it's just too early. So I can't wait. I'm like running for the
Yes, I need
solstice.
more life force.
For real.
Yeah, it's literally the birth of the sun. That's why Jesus' birthday. But yeah, we could do a whole podcast episode on how the Christian holidays line up with the pagan
Yes.
holidays and how
Yes.
they
And we've talked about
adopted
that
them.
a little bit, but yeah,
Yeah.
it is really interesting. And if you look at even other religions,
Yep.
they've adopted an aspect of these things into their major holidays.
Yep. It always comes back to the sun though, right? Because
Yeah, it
we
does.
it's like nature, sun. Okay, that's true. It's
Yeah.
always the same, totally. And so on this day, we start Capricorn season. The sun moves into Capricorn at 0 degrees. That degree point, those cardinal degrees are very potent energetically. So usually the sun itself, you'll start to see more solar flares, and it's just the energy like really ramps right here. And also, Three Eye Atlas is going to be closest to the Earth on the
I
19th.
cannot wait to see what happens there. Yeah,
Yes.
we explain for those who don't know what that is.
Yeah, it's a bird, it's a plane, it's a comet,
We're not really sure.
it's a spaceship. Just it is an ancient consciousness that is some sort of 3D rock, icy something. So some people say it's a comet, some people say it's something different because it's on a different trajectory than normal comets are. It's going the opposite direction. And spiritually speaking, though, three eye is your third eye, which is so interesting that it's called that. I think it's an ancient consciousness that's going to deliver codes to us as it passes by. And it has been. It passed by the sun, it passed by Venus. It's an awakening, essentially.
It's so interesting. And that the timing of it happens to be right around
Solstice.
the solstice.
Not a
There's
coincidence.
some sort of frequency there.
For sure.
It's utilizing some sort of energy.
Yes. And it's very old, so it's seen things that we don't even understand. So
Totally.
it's an ancient thing. And there's a lot of speculation about what that is. I've gone down a little rabbit holes, but like from my center of
Yeah.
truth, it just feels like an ancient consciousness that's here to help deliver some rememberings. Wait a minute, remember your love? Remember your
Yeah.
whole? So that's cool too. This week's really big for all that. So I'm just guessing that the sun's probably going to be doing her dance of players and seeing.
And when you look that up too, because there's been also a few recently major flares, which I think have also impacted our communication
For sure.
in some way. And you can even see that obviously for us in Chicago. And I know a lot of the United States was able to see the Northern Lights.
Yeah.
And to me, that's not normal.
No.
So the fact that because of what is going on energetically and the sun is talking to us.
Yeah, it's so
You-
cool to see it in the 3D though, because it's
It
happening
really is.
constantly.
Right.
You're like, oh my God, it's changing the colors. It's a consciousness
It
that's like
is.
raining down. Yeah, it's really cool.
And when you are able to experience it and see it, even if you don't see it, you can feel it, even if you're not totally conscious of that. But if you are intentional and conscious and you see it, there is a feeling of oneness. There is a feeling of love. There is a feeling of awe.
Yep.
That is such a gift to be a soul and to be a soul in a human body to experience it too. So if you can look at it that way, it changes the way you think about the sun, the universe, everything.
Yeah, bring it on. More of that, please.
Exactly. Please.
Michigan was like one of the only states that was so cloudy. I was sitting in bed just like looking at the pictures, like, oh, oh
It was surprising to be able to see that with somewhat of a naked eye. It
Yeah.
was obviously more clear when I took the pictures, especially that pink color.
man. So beautiful.
Yeah, and I always thought I was going to have to go to Iceland to see them. How magical in the last few years to be able to see that
And
here.
it's gone all the way to Georgia and Florida.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
So then anything else in terms of closing out December?
We have Venus goes into Capricorn on the 25th on Christmas. And that's going to again bring more of a, ooh, it's fun to work on my goals. Because prior to that, she's in Sag, like, but isn't it more fun to go have an adventure? And so when she moves into Capricorn, we have Mars and Venus and the sun. And so that is also why Christmas always feels different than the weeks leading up to it. I used to be like, why? Before I learned astrology, I'm like, why? It does. It's like all of a sudden the solstice comes and then it gets more serious.
Yeah, it gets more serious. I was just
It's
going
a
to
little
say,
heavier. And you're like, wait,
yes.
why does this feel like a responsibility now? It was fun before.
So true. Leading into January 1.
Yeah, totally. In some ways, it's a really good time to take off work and reflect the week between, but there's also like a lot of motivation to check things off your list and figure out what your big picture goals are for the next coming year. So it is
Yeah.
such a good time to plan. I always get my planner out and plan my year and figure things out that week because the energy is ripe for it.
Yeah, I agree. And it's interesting to me. Already, I'm starting to plan more than I have in years past for
Mhm.
next year.
Yeah.
So it makes me feel like when we get to this time in December, I know for me, I actually will be taking some time off
Yeah.
and I will look forward to continuing to fill out some of the happenings for 2026, which I have to be honest, in a couple of these past years, I haven't.
That's because Mercury was retrograde at that time.
Yeah, it makes so. I remember you reminded me of that
Yeah.
in our November
We're like,
forecast.
why don't we feel it?
And it's really different. It's a much clearer energy. That's the only
Totally.
way I can put it. Because in these last few years, you're right. It's been murky.
It's been murky. And we had the murky. We're still in the murky right now as we're filming this, but we're coming out of it because
Yeah.
Mercury's now started its new cycle. So we don't end December the same way we have the last 2 or 3 years.
I really am looking forward to hearing everybody's reaction and feeling around that because I know mine, I am excited to not
Yeah,
have that.
me too. Yeah, even though it's the Gregorian calendar, we're used to it.
I know.
Ours
We talk
being
about that too.
certain vibe. And so it's
There's a
nice to
vibe.
have that.
That's true. Thank you for getting us ready for December. And we're so excited to jump into 2026. And we'll be talking about that. And then we'll be posting that by the time January 1 rolls around. So we'll have that to really help us think about this next year, which I think is going to be a big one. They all are, but this feels pretty monumental in terms of transformation.
Yep. I will say that what you felt in the summer is coming back like times 10.
Whoa. Well,
Yeah.
we'll be discussing. Until then, you can check out Working with Stevie at steviecalista.com. And we'll be back in touch with 2026 shortly. Thanks, Stevie.
Thanks for having me.